Hey, everybody, and welcome to Don't Make Me Come Back There. We are a funny podcast about family. My name is Dustin Nickerson. I'm a stand-up comedian and the host of the aforementioned podcast. And alongside of us, alongside of me, it's confusing. We have a guest in our state-of-the-art recording studio above Public Square Coffee in downtown La Mesa, California. It's my lovely wife, my co-host, my best friend, Melissa Nickerson, our producer.
Hey there.
Andy, Lara.
How dare you?
Yeah, we were just talking about different pronunciations of last name. Mine has a particularly important one. My last name does. And our guest, comedian, actor, friend of the Nateland network in general, Nic Novicki is here.
Hello.
Nick and I did the thing right before where I said Nic Novicki, right? Just confirming that I've been saying your name correctly for the last 6 years that I've known you.
Yeah.
I think
We haven't just been polite
Yeah.
about it.
I have been calling him Rickerson.
Rickerson.
So it's
I might have gone somewhere a little more in my career. Is that the key stage name, Dustin Rickerson? I say stay away from the last name in general. It's I got one bit that I milked out of that, and that's the rest of my career. So thanks for doing it, buddy. So I saw Nick. Well, first off, I want to talk about the gig on Sunday, but I was trying to remember our origin story. Was it Irvine with Nate years ago?
That's right. That's right.
Wow.
So back when Nate performed in comedy clubs.
The Irvine Improv.
I mean, that was probably 10 years ago.
Was it?
Right?
I think I just made it a shorter period of time so I could feel better about my career success.
So it was around 6th grade, so it was about 6 years ago, actually, 6, 7. Because our son was playing travel ball, and I remember they lost, and I was like, well, we're going to go up to an Irvine for a night.
Right.
Because they lost.
Nate's half an hour, which you've known Nate much longer than me, but Nate's half an hour, I think, came out in 2017, and then, which is crazy to think about.
His Netflix half an hour?
Yeah, that was less than 10 years ago.
That is
Wow.
crazy.
Because you've known him since you guys were essentially open micers together in New York. But I've known him I kind of met him right before that came out. So he was doing clubs and he was like selling well-ish, but not across the board, and then that came out. So somewhere along that line, we crossed paths.
That's funny. It really does feel like that was well over 10 years ago to me.
Well, you would think so because it went from being a meandering club act to, hey, we added a third MSG.
Yeah, it's the biggest thing in the world.
But just even like the COVID period and all that stuff and like that it was before all that. Even like there's so many.
Yeah, the COVID time period really, we just did an episode, it'll air next week on state fairs. And it was so funny because it's like the state fair, or the Del Mar County Fair paused for two things. World War II, and you're like, sure, that makes sense. And COVID. You're like, that's a bummer. That's a bummer that COVID and World War II are the two things that.
But comedy did not stop. We kept going.
I know.
That's right.
For better or worse. Yeah, I remember.
Oh, man.
I remember Tim Dillon going on a rant to be like, guys, you're performing in the back of trucks. Stop this. And I remember thinking like, no, it was hard to get the truck gig.
Yeah.
It wasn't even, you were thankful to get the truck gig. I mean, that's what Matt Rife was doing. Matt Rife was hosting and promoting, setting up the chairs at a truck gig during COVID.
It was like an outdoor gym in PB. Yeah.
And this, we're just mentioning all of our friends who are arena acts now.
Yeah.
So we met at a club. I think I must have been hosting, right? And you were middling.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And it would have been Irvine. So yeah, we met 25 years ago.
The year was 1976.
But we've done a bunch of stuff since then. Because through the Nate runs, and then I feel like you did my show down here, Lestats in San Diego, and we crossed paths. We've done. This is going to be a selfish story. That this is mostly about me, but it involves you, so forgive me here. So we did Balboa with Nate, the Balboa Theater.
Oh yeah.
I remember we popped over and did Madhouse, and I was like, this is like a big deal that I'm like, and they kind of like, I'm like, we just did Balboa with Nate, and we're coming over here, and we did it once, and it went well. And it went like swim. I did it one more time, and the guy gave me like attitude.
Yeah.
Yeah, you remember this? Yeah. And then I was like, this guy needs to know who I am. This is crazy. I'm like a San Diego comic. I've been on the real stuff. And then I bombed on old material too. Like, I was like, not even like working out new stuff, but I guess what I'm saying is we've had some highs and lows together and some poker games and so on and so forth. But you're in town. Tell everyone what you're in town for right now. You're in town in San Diego. It's rare that we can have in-person guests, so this is nice.
This is incredible. So I am in town. There is the Little People of America convention going on. Little People of America, founded in the 50s by actor, comedian, my hero, Billy Barty. So there's a national Little People convention that happens once a year, and it is a gathering of little people that come from around the country and really around the world for a week. And so this year there's 3,000 little people, and it's really nuts that this is actually airing this week during the conference. We're talking about the conference while the conference is happening. So this is basically like I'm on live TV right now, like on C-SPAN. Like, let me tell you about what's passing in the dwarf legislation. But no, it's something I'm very like passionate about, and something I love. And I've been going to these conventions since I was a kid, and it is a total blast. There's the Little People of America, and at the same time, there's the Dwarf Athletic Association of America. So during the day, there's all kinds of sports happening. Like right when we get done with this, I don't even know the full calendar. It's either football or I'm going to a surfing event. So it's like a lot of different things. And then basically there's all kinds of different workshops that happen during the day. There's a dance every night, which
we saw the dance.
Like, and we'll get into that. I'll talk about it. But all different events, including I was tasked with putting together a comedy show. So a comedy night. And so first person I contacted, buddy Dustin.
Yeah, that's
San
nice.
Diego zone legend.
Just ask Madhouse. They love me.
Yeah. Actually, I did. They go, don't get Dustin. Right after that sold-out theater. No, you always kill. I've never seen you not destroy.
Oh, that's very kind. Thank you.
So basically, the show was you, Mal Hall, Greg Garcia, who's now starting to do comedy. And happens to also be a primetime Emmy-winning writer who's like, let me just get into your stage time now after creating hundreds of episodes of TV.
As far as I can tell, Greg's 2 intros to comedy are performing internationally with Nate and then performing at a little person convention. And I was like, I mean, those are 2 interesting starts to your... I mean, those aren't your traditional open mics.
Yeah.
You know?
With Nate, thousands of people.
Exactly.
It's amazing.
Overseas, internationally. Like, it's like...
Just go out there.
It took me a long time to get that gig, Greg.
So, it was awesome. And then also, we had Brad Williams on the show and Tanya Lee Davis.
Right.
So, we did a show. It was awesome. We could get into that more, but it was incredible. It was a night where it was like, packed.
Right.
There was... You're nervous a little bit. Honestly, I was more nervous that day. In that show than I am, I get to tour with Nate, so doing arenas, 20,000 people, Boston Garden. Way more nervous at the Little People convention.
Really?
It was packed.
I wish you'd have told me that because I was very nervous.
It's because it's also like, you give a real good bomb, I'm going to know these people for another 50 years.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, by the way. You stink. I remember that. 2025. No, I mean, it's like a family. But
this is a little bit how I feel about the Nateland cruise. If I bomb out there and be like, oh, gosh, we're stuck at sea together.
You have to make eye contact in the buffet line. With all these people.
I have to take my shirt off in front of these people at the pool. That guy bombed. So but it's a very tight knit community that you've known them for a while. It's like a family reunion.
It really is. It's like the whole thing. Like I grew up going to these conventions, so this was like the big thing that we did. My family did not travel a lot, and I was like the outlier in my family that I would go to a different city every year for the convention, but also
so it rotates every year. Oh, in sports,
different. So I got into it through sports as a kid, where I would compete in basketball and swimming and all these different things. And there was like a sense where I was like, look, I am gonna dominate. I am just, I'm little. I'm an athlete. I am just gonna get out there, and I got my headband on, and I'm a little kid, and I'm just gonna get out there and just start dunking basically on people. And then you get out there, and you're like, everybody feels that. Mm-hmm. And there is like one kid that is like a little person that happens to be incredible. And you're like, I am awful. And you end up riding the bench like at the little people.
At the local level, killing it. At the national level, not so much.
You're like, just in your head, you're like, this is the only thing. The only reason why I'm not dominating, it's because I'm little. And then when everyone's little, you're like, oh, so there's a lot of different reasons why I'm not dominating.
Ends up this might be a skill issue.
Yeah, exactly. But
you are a good basketball player, though. I've played with you.
Good,
yeah.
I would. But there are people that are, incredible. There's little people that play on the Harlem Globetrotters.
Really?
Awesome.
That were part of our team, the New York Towers. Jamani, Monty Love.
Yeah.
And Justin Tompkins. And so it's an incredible experience. But it's really come full circle for me to come back now to the convention.
Yeah.
I hadn't been to a convention since 2019 because COVID a couple years.
Right.
I was touring and I had kids.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And now I'm back.
This is the first year you brought your kids.
First year I brought my kids. And first year I've been back at a national conference since 2019.
That's awesome.
Well, you said you met Teal there, your wife, too, right?
So my wife is a little person. I met Teal at the national convention in 2009 in Brooklyn.
Okay.
And my best friend was running that, Clint, who is just such a character.
Yeah.
Nate loves him. He's like Clint Brown, shout out, funniest guy in the world. Not a comedian, but way funnier than I am.
Most funny people aren't. The funniest people I know are not comedians.
So he was running that conference.
Okay.
And we were doing all kinds of different things. We had our basketball team, and Teal at the time was acting.
Mm-hmm.
And she was literally leaving the conference, and she just wasn't really having a great time because it can be, I'll be a little bit honest, it's an amazing experience, but there's a lot of emotions involved, and everyone already knows each other. So you are a little bit going into like a high school environment where everyone's in like their own clique, and hey, we're going to breakfast together. And if you're new to it, you got people that know each other for years, and they go every year. So she just was like, not having the greatest time, and also trying to like learn about acting, and that was what she wanted to learn about, and hadn't found that, and was literally leaving and told Clint, hey, I'm walking out the door. I not having it's just
not having a great time.
Not having a great time, and I just I was trying to find info about actors, and we're in the lobby. Okay, the lobby of a Little People convention is kind of like it's Grand Central Station. All little people go there. You hang out there. No one wants to miss it. It's like this is like the communal thing where we all are like running into people, and in that scenario, so she tells Clint in the lobby, I'm leaving, not have, trying to find an actor, trying to get advice. He goes, well, this is my best friend, Nick. He's an actor.
Yeah.
So I meet her, but the serendipitous of that is like, I just randomly showed up into the lobby and hadn't been there for more than 2 minutes. And if I wasn't there in that moment, we wouldn't have met. And she would have left. And now she's stuck with me. I'm terrible at working my Google Calendar of where I am.
That's a beautiful moment.
Yeah.
I love that.
Wow. So what happened? You guys started chatting. Did she stay another night? Did you guys exchange numbers?
So actually, I was dating another little person at the time. And so we were just like friends, know.
Yep.
And I was working on the TV show Boardwalk Empire. So I recorded on that show.
Nice.
That filmed in New York.
Yeah.
So
She's a good in with Teal.
Yeah.
I'm actually on her show right now. You may have heard of it.
Exactly. Normally, like as comics, like you're like, well, what's coming up next? You're like, well, I gotta, I'm doing an open mic in 2 days.
I got this one nighter in Mobile. Really.
This was like that.
Tell me more.
Yeah. Exactly. This was that one random thing where I'm like, well, I'm actually working on a new show, and Martin Scorsese is directing it. It's like, everything else is like, I'm doing a regional commercial next month. So no, but I ended up going back to New York and I was working local hire, so I wasn't going back and forth. I just stayed in New York for quite a while, actually living in a small world, Nate's couch. With Laura. Sure. Shout out to Nate and Laura in Queens for hosting me on their couch.
Yes. Well, you got your career and your love life in order.
Yeah.
I love that.
So then we just kind of were like friends once I came back in there and just talked, and, you know, my relationship didn't work out, and then kind of we ended up dating, and
Amazing.
We've been married 10 years this September.
Oh, amazing.
That's
Happy anniversary.
Thank
That's
you.
great.
Awesome.
So is it the conference convention? I keep mixing up the word.
I think it's a convention.
Convention? What's it
Is
called?
that- what
What's
do
the
you
official title? National Little Person.
You know what? You are asking the worst person in the world.
Yes.
Because no one's ever questioned me. I've
That's
actually pronounced the word dwarf wrong for years.
Yeah.
So, because I just say it like I say dwarf, like a lot of times, and no one ever was like, dwarf.
This is twice you've said this to me this week. If you remember, I was like, hey, Nick, I hope this isn't like a rude question. If I take a picture with a little person, is it rude to stand up or go down? I don't know what's protocol here. I want to be sensitive, you know, to this. And you go, I don't care. You're asking the wrong person. So this is twice you've said. So the Little People of America.
No,
Conference.
convention.
No, that's just
Convention.
Oh, my bad.
Conference.
yeah.
We got our own. Look, we got own inside information. Right? There's some things I can tell you on this podcast, and some things I can't. All
Well,
right?
I'm glad you said that because
Meeting.
you did say to us
Yeah.
multiple times. First off, we walked in and there was an immediate energy and a happiness and a joy.
In the lobby.
I felt like
Yeah.
I was at somebody's family reunion or their summer camp or like a thing where I'm going into somebody else's world. The closest that we compare it to is we have a camp we would go to once a year called Hope Heals, which was we went the last 3 or 4 years, which was camp for families with disabilities. But you would go in and you're like, I'm in somebody else's community right now.
Yeah.
I'm a visitor and I'm happy to be. You felt that, but you kept using the word like sacred.
Yeah. Well, it is kind of like it's a special place.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm protective too of like making sure that like, hey, our world stays like within us. Like this is a place where people want to go and just be together and hang out. So, you know, I have wild stories that I like to tell kind of just in private.
Yeah.
And then other stories.
Give us a couple public ones.
Yeah.
Private we can go have over a scone after.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, just overall, you know, first of all, I've been involved in this since I was a kid.
Yeah.
So all these, you know, like all these moments that are kind of just nuts. Like as a kid, my favorite thing to do was I liked riding the escalator up and down the escalator. Like that was my intro into this as like a 6-year-old. I was like, there's an escalator? What is an escalator? So I'm just like, I'm riding up this escalator at a hotel, and then I'm riding down the escalator. And then I meet like a friend, and there's like my oldest friend in the world.
Yeah, we met this guy,
And we're just riding escalators up and down together. And we're like, we just keep doing it. And we're like, eventually, like hotel staff are like, why are these kids just keep riding the escalator? So then we're like, this is fun. This is a blast. Then we're like, oh, wait a minute. We could walk the wrong way up the escalator. So now we start walking like the wrong way up the escalator. Like instead of like, you know, going the way up, we'd walk up the way down. And so people, just random like, you know, tall parents or just random hotel guests that are at a convention, because there is something to be said about that too.
Yeah.
These are at big hotels.
Yeah.
And not everyone is there for the convention.
Yeah.
So there is like just a, you know, random stewardess or like, you know, a pilot that is like, wow, there's a lot of little people here.
Yeah.
You know? And
we caught that as soon as we walked in. I think I mentioned that to you.
Yeah.
That was because we walked in knowing we were going to a convention where little people were at, but not everyone did. And so I saw one family walk in, had just flown in from San Diego, and I looked at the teenage boy.
Yeah.
He was like 17. He was like, what is going on? Like I didn't. What hotel did you book us at, Dad?
I mean, like that is a VIP. That is a great booking, Dad. You know, you got like there's a lot of different choices, but that was the best choice.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was so vibrant and full of life, and that's what Mel, you said. You're like, everyone seems really happy.
But it's like going back to this like escalator kind of thing. Like
this is what we did in the '90s, by the way. Escalators were a good time.
And let me tell you what. They still are, because now I have a daughter, and I was like, look, I'm bringing you up and down the escalator. And so I brought her with me, and I'm like, we're going to ride the escalator. She's like, what are we doing? I'm like, it's going to be so fun, but like, don't tell your mom. Like, maybe we should ask. And I started to be like, this is like we're doing something kind of like a little like, we're breaking the law. And she was like, my 4-year-old daughter was like, yeah, let's do it one more time. And so we just keep doing it.
Go again.
She's like, well, maybe. I said, should we ask Mama? And she goes, no, we'll just tell her later. I was like, oh my God. I'm like,
good.
Breaking her into like a
little seeds of rebellion, starting with the escalator.
So
that was just because the elevators were running so poorly.
Oh, so this is another kind of this hotel, amazing hotel. It has one big flaw. They have some crazy thing where normally you just walk to an elevator.
Yeah.
From the history of me, you walk to an elevator out of the thousands of hotels, you hit the up button or go button or some kind of button. This is a hotel that decides to adapt AI technology of aliens, I think.
Yes.
You need to randomly go to some random kiosk with your key, and then you put in a
floor, right?
And then say your key goes in, and then you have to say your floor.
Yeah.
But it's grouped in with like 10 to 20, 50 thing, and all of a sudden it's just going to throw out numbers. B42, and then you have to just start running to a different area, and by the time you get there, the door opens, and then it closes. And now you're like, well, man, I got to wait in this line again. Yeah. So now it's little people just crashing into each other. There's scooters. There's strollers. Just people are just, you're just running in there.
B42.
Like, B53. And now you're just like, well, I'm going in this elevator. And you get in there, and it's already decided for you. So now you're on like the 35th floor. And you got to go back and start again.
I'm taking the escalator, man.
Yeah. And exactly. And I'm like to my daughter, I'm like, do you see why the escalator is amazing?
Yeah, some processes don't need improvement. Yeah. Who's upset about the elevator process?
And it's so
working for a long time.
The hotel is now realizes the problem.
Yeah.
And the website of the hotel has a little video like, we want to let you know exciting updates of how to use our elevator.
Like, what do you mean use elevator? Yeah, I'm seeing this. It's they make you declare your intentions way in advance. Like, why do you need to know what floor I'm going to now? And then
and you can't change your mind.
You can't change your mind. I don't like this process either. It's like how in college they make you to declare your major in advance now.
Yeah.
No, you figure that out once you get in the elevator. I'm not thinking about that yet. I'm gonna get in there and then.
What is it, Elf?
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, I literally think maybe the engineer of this was like, I was in an elevator once and somebody did that and it's never happening again. No one's gonna get to choose their floor now.
This is rage technology.
So
we got to experience it. It was not the best.
Well, it's San Diego during the summer, so it's already busy. And then this convention is how many people?
So I think there was 2,500.
Yeah. So we have an influx of 2,500 people. You gotta. The elevators have to work.
Well, and you guys had bingo.
Yeah.
A fashion show.
Yeah.
A dance. That's I heard about so far.
So that was all happening one night. So
fun.
So this is normally as a comedian or anybody in entertainment, you're like, what am I competing against? You're always, no matter what, and you're in show business, you're putting out a movie,
trying to
TV
get people
show,
to come out,
podcast, you got a show, you're like, well, what else is going on? And then I find out that we are on the same night as the fashion show. The fashion show is this is the big event. This is where kids, they dress up to the nines. They're wearing little dresses, 7-year-olds. 6-year-olds.
I know.
You
They're
can't
walking the
compete
runway.
against that. They're walking the
yeah.
runway with like music, a DJ, cool
my
lights.
gosh.
Yeah.
It's just packed. I'm like, oh my god, you can't beat a kid in an unbelievable outfit. They're like in wedding dresses.
I would have skipped my set to go see that. I mean, you're like, guys, my jokes aren't this good. You got to go to that.
Well, luckily we didn't. I would have been abandoned. I would have been like, this is out. So luckily that happened right before.
Oh yeah. We didn't go up against it.
You can't. You can't.
Okay.
That's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
that'd be like going up against like, the Titanic. And you're like, but I got this movie. It's a fun one, and you're just throwing in
I thought you were talking about the ship.
Well, that too. Because that's what the show would have been if you go against a fashion show. It just would have been me and like there's one little person that I have to like pay to be there in the audience.
And they're heckling.
And they're heckling.
Well, what was awesome was the doors opened.
Yeah.
And everyone rushed in, found their seats, and then the overflow, like everyone was peering in from the open doors. Like it was
it was
packed.
It was packed. So I gotta say that I was like, because you're always nervous. You're like, I didn't really
nervous.
promote,
Yeah.
and because I'm really there for my daughter too, and I, a little bit. They did some, and Luskin OIC, that's UCLA Health, like also sponsored the show and the Barty Room and doing things, and they promoted it. The Barty Room is Billy Barty, was the founder of Little People America and a vaudevillian who had a great, one of my favorite. Jokes of his was, older in his life, he was out speaking because he started in silent movies. Billy Barty was in silent movies and literally acted from a 3-year-old in silent movies or 5 or somewhere in that age range till he died. And was in a web series at the end of his life.
Oh my!
So he literally was acting like at the end.
Silent
and
movies,
on stage,
a web series.
He had a heart attack on stage in Las Vegas, and continued performing after the heart attack.
Legend.
And then went to the hospital. So he, at the end of his life, goes up to get like a Lifetime Achievement Award, and he had. Hurt himself in his knee, and so he gets up on stage, and and he gets he says, I hurt my knee, I went bungee jumping off a curb. And I mean, it was like, he's a vaudeville legend, and you're like, this guy is unbelievable. He's in a tuxedo, and he's that's
a perfect joke.
He just loves it. He knows how to do everything, and
that's a perfect joke. There's no fat on that joke.
No fat.
Boom, boom, boom. We're out of here. Yeah.
And we're in. And he's, and he had, an injury in his knee, and he's pointing it out and saying that, and
oh my gosh.
And so this. They now have the Barty Room, which is where, it's sort of like, so every night there is a dance.
Yeah.
Okay. And you went to the dance.
We saw the dance.
Yeah.
That's where it was the most sacred.
Yeah.
And we could sense that.
And it's like, and the reason about the sacred kind of element of it is more like, hey, look, this is also where, teenagers, young adults, adults, are looking to hook up, relationships, form relationships, all that kind of stuff. But also there's kids there. And so everything has changed so much now,
right?
To where when I was a kid, here, you would have to have a full camera team,
right?
And now there's 100 reality shows, and there's TikTok and all these different things.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's a sort of guardedness now where it's like, hey, don't let us be in our world, and don't kind of we're here to have fun, and sometimes have a crazy night, and not have it broadcast everywhere out into the world. So it's more like that kind of world where I've had a lot of friends come. I've actually done comedy shows in other in New York, in San Francisco, at conventions, and it's just more I want to bring my crew out, but also the same kind of thing where you're if you're bringing your friends to your daughter's softball game, you're hey, don't be crazy.
Yeah, don't be crazy. Don't film. You're an outsider.
I vouched for you.
Yeah, I vouched for you. So you're in and especially on a dance floor, you guys are tall.
Well,
and I'm talking and hanging out. So if something goes wrong, it is a live vouch. Like everyone sees that you came in with me.
I do want to apologize that Melissa got drunk and took her top off.
That was out of taste.
Actually, I don't know if it is. I don't know if we need to apologize or say you're welcome. I don't know.
I'm just gonna say too, like the conference does, like there's all this energy. You said about the energy, and all that stuff.
You notice it as soon as you walk in.
Yeah.
But it's like that too in terms of the celebratory too. So there can be like, a night just like any other time. It's like a high school reunion. So there can be a night where it's just like, we're getting crazy and, people are drinking or some people aren't. And there is like a vibe where you're just like, there can be kind of wild times and it's just so fun.
Yeah. So I love, it was a learning experience. So that's my favorite thing about when you go into somebody's world that isn't your own world. And you said, like, you have to keep that badge on. And one thing that you said, you're like, hey, just so you know, you're cool, you're a guest. You have to be protective of, like, creepers who might be around this. Also, you don't want anyone coming here broadcasting. You want this to be safe. You don't want it to be just somebody's punchline or content or this is just we're supposed to be here fun.
Exactly. Especially because now it's like you got people that are paying to come from like Iowa or Alaska or somewhere else, and it's like now you're part of somebody content or the other side or just that world. And I mean there is a thing too where it's like we have had to be guarded of like outsiders or someone wanting to see it, and then now there's kids just walking around. So there is like a sort of it operates almost like a tribe a little bit. We have a feeling of like you're in a safe space to be little, to be there. But with that being said too, like I was playing in a pickleball tournament, which this sounds like I'm making this up, with another little person and against my friend's mom, the same little person that I rode the escalators with, his mom.
So nice.
Who, Linda Morris, who's amazing, and she actually, her, late husband, helped start the Dwarf Athletic Association of America. And we were in a pickleball tournament, me, this guy, and her and Amy Roloff from Little People, Big World. And they destroyed us. I mean, she just like, she's like, I don't really play. We're doing, I'm like, I kind of know the rules. And we go in there and she's like, you got to be behind the line. You got to, she's just like, bam, bam, just annihilating me. And I'm like, wow.
We're just here to play a little pickleball.
And the funny thing is I have my daughter, and my
she's
new
like,
daughter.
Go, daddy.
I have my 4-month-old and I tell Teal, because like, we're supposed to be somewhere else. I'm like, I just want to see pickleball. She's like, don't play. We have to get to this, workshop. And I'm like, I just want to see it. Next thing I know, she knows I'm signing up to be in this thing. I'm playing against Amy Roloff.
I would do that.
Take my baby and somebody else. There's just like a woman. She's like, I'll watch the baby. So now like the baby is being held by this woman that I just met. And everyone else is coming up to me as I'm playing. They go, how well do you know that lady? I go, it's
we're all close here at the conference. We're all close. It's like a family.
But it was like a tribal experience. Like you can be like, it's a safe space because you're in this like world, and I know enough other like little people that are kind of waiting. So I kept like, I'm like looking back every once in a while. Is she still alive? And then
Thumbs
I'm like,
up.
I'm like using that as an excuse as I'm getting just destroyed.
That's the funniest
Amy
part
Roloff.
is you handed your baby off to lose.
Yeah.
You weren't even like holding court. You're
Her first memory is like you losing, Dad.
being held by a stranger.
Yeah. But it was like that Lion King moment. They just held her up, just random stranger.
Yeah. You're like, put her down. She doesn't need to see me lose like this.
We've had similar pickleball experiences as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think in your defense, you've been pretty busy the last 5-6 years as pickleball has exploded.
Yeah.
With the new babies.
Well, not really. I mean, I have played pickleball. Dustin, quietly, he's a guy, like a quiet athlete, and I think because of your glasses, if I will say that, not in a mean way, like, you don't realize how insanely athletic you are.
Well,
like at every sport where you're like, well, he can't be good at swimming. And then he's like, like he's like Michael Phelps, like just dominating people. We'll play like tournaments with like a lot of, everyone in like the Nateland. Like there's a lot of things like where comedians will all get together for like, his specials or just different things
Yeah.
where we're all on the road.
They're all
And
Nate-centered.
And I feel like you are, honestly, for all of us.
Yeah,
And you guys are also competitive.
We're all competitive. So
Yeah.
I like to compete. I'm a wildly competitive person. Like, I love competition and doing things like that. But you are very good and, like, random. You're like, oh, he can't be good
Niche.
at pickleball, too. And then he's just
athlete.
like, bam, bam. He's just, basketball, every sport.
That's very
it's
nice
not
of you
like,
to say, yeah.
We're not like with 5 or, there'll be like 15 or 20 comics in certain places. And you're like the best at every sport.
He's a heptathlete.
Or I'm like,
That's funny. Yeah, that's very nice you say. I've had it described to me in 2 ways. One, we used to play basketball. I used to work at a rec center down the street here, and a friend of mine who was a real athlete, like he was a running back at OU, and he goes, he said it nice. He goes, like, you're deceptively athletic. And then Aaron Weber said it in a more tone that's similar to yours, like, you're annoyingly athletic.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't see it coming. And I thought I always say this, like, if there's a pickup basketball game, the first game that we play, if it's a game to 11, I'll score 8 points in the first game. And it's because I was so underestimated.
Yeah.
That they're like, we're gonna put our worst player against you. And then, but I've gotten less competitive as I've gotten older because I like this tone.
Well, Nate is also very competitive too, and he's also a very good athlete in a lot of different things.
Yeah.
And I remember we did
He's
like
a good
random
swimmer, yeah.
random swimming, and I was a competitive swimmer too.
Yeah,
so I love swimming. I competed
Yeah.
in these, still hold the world record. And
Is that true?
Yeah.
What?
In the World Dwarf Games.
What
yeah.
stroke?
In backstroke.
Amazing.
I haven't looked it up.
Amazing.
Somebody could have taken
No,
me
don't
down.
look it up.
Like,
No, don't look it up.
There was a
At a
couple, so
time.
I used to compete and would go
That's
and
crazy.
every year, and
That's awesome.
there's different classifications of dwarfism too.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm shorter than most other little people, so I was in my own class. So I would win no matter what.
Yeah.
But I would be able to beat people in the classification that was harder, like taller than me.
Oh, interesting.
And so for my classification,
Like you were fighting up a weight class.
I was
Yeah.
fighting up, like I was like,
You're like, I'm getting the belt in multiple ways.
I mean, in defense, in weird sports like backstroke or breaststroke, I don't know about freestyle,
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone does freestyle.
Yeah. I pick up like weird sports. I'm like,
Oh yeah, no, that's key. That's that's me randomly being good at paddle sports. Yeah, you're like,
Yeah.
I'm not good at football.
Joe Zimmerman is also very quietly good at a lot.
Well, he was a college golfer.
Yeah, he's really good at stuff
Yeah.
where I'm like, you and him are like the quiet, like, how does this guy know how to fly a plane? It's just everything we do. We're like,
Yeah.
And then you got Greg Warren, the wrestler.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Well, that's like
Yeah.
a different level.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Greg.
But
yeah.
I don't know about him swimming. I don't know.
I think that like Greg is an example of like Melissa, very good at one sport. So Mel was a runner and ran in college, distance runner. Greg was a college. I'm kind of good at a lot of sports.
Yeah.
Like so people like I'm like more athletic than you.
Yeah, you're more
She's a much
agile.
more high achieving athlete than me.
Yeah.
Though. She's a college runner, you know? I was like
So you just got to find your lane, I guess.
yeah. Yeah, I was like the 7 hitter on my high school team, like so it is
As you always say, JV wrestler. of the
JV
year.
wrestler of the year. Those are like real high achieving athletes. But it is like
That's so fun.
I have one best.
Yeah.
This is this. I'll do one braggadocious sports story. This is the only one I have, and it applies to. I think I've told it on here. So Nate. So when we all played, because we were all on the road together, and it is like camp when you're out with Nate.
It's the best.
And we did that big pickup basketball game, and I like when I like involving a lot of people. I think it's more fun that way.
Yeah.
You're very collaborative.
I think it's
Yeah.
fun to play a team game and pass the ball around.
He's the Chris Paul. of
Yeah,
the
and it helps me get less annoyingly competitive, where I'm like, like you're talking about. It helps
you get
me.
kicked off the tour.
Yeah, it helps me keep that on bay. Anyway, so Nate, I think kind of senses that we're similar basketball levels.
Yeah.
And at the Missouri college that we were performing at or whatever, he's like, hey, you want to do like a one-on-one?
Yeah.
And he's
my
like,
gosh.
let's put time on the clock because we're in this college gym. And I was like, time on the clock? Usually you play till like 11 or something. He's like, yeah, we'll put 10 minutes on the clock. It was 10 or 15 minutes, and whoever's winning at the end of this game. So these two 40-something-year-old dads play the most unimpressive basketball game that you've ever seen. And I get on a crazy hot streak from the arc, and I beat him 43-8.
I'll tell you what, I know Nate. I could just picture him waking up in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Starting to train. And,
And
he's like, we're doing this again.
Yeah, he's like, let's go play golf, Dustin. And you're like, I'd rather not. Actually, I can't hit straight off the tee.
There's an echoey time on the clock.
Yeah. And now I'm telling that story on a network he pays me money to be on.
Not anymore.
Did you take that Nateland sign down? Actually,
Last episode.
So there's so much happening at that conference. There's sports, there's meetups, there's fashion.
So that night, though, particularly, like, I have lifelong friends and all these people, and I just haven't been there just because of life.
Yeah.
So it was just exciting. But I had, like, a flyer with my name, Nic Novicki and Friends, and you were on it.
That was a funny bit that somebody made. Like, how do you promote the show? And it's a flyer of mostly Nick.
I didn't promote it, though. This is not
just
me.
Nick in a suit. It's like your most dapper headshot. You don't even look like a comic in it. You're like, is this the fashion show?
Well, that's why we did it. I walked the fashion show.
You're a very good-looking guy, for one. Like, you're very handsome.
You don't have to compliment me just because I said you're a good athlete.
No. You are a very handsome man. And I've looked at your headshot many times and be like, wow. And so the flyer is, you've kind of got like a little lean to that's one of them. That wasn't it. Yeah.
You've booked some roles with that headshot.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Gosh, yeah. You look cool. You have a great beard. You have better facial hair than me. You have better hair than me. And but the flyer it was nice of you to put me on the flyer. I think it was me.
Well,
you,
in
Brad.
fairness, I did not make the flyer.
Okay.
I said, do not put him on the flyer. I want full space.
Yeah.
No.
Actually, don't put
Top
any
billing.
details on the flyer. Just hand out my headshot.
No, but so I gave your headshot. I gave Mal's headshot. And then I said special guest because also this came together very last minute, so I had no idea that fully Greg was gonna do it, or
you were
Brad,
trying to
or
get
Tom
Brad,
Lee, and all these other things, and trying to get schedules of different things, and so I had nothing to do with that, but there was a lot of people very excited because you were on the headshot.
That's nice.
And people were fans and that listened to the pod and
We'll take it.
and also that had seen you on the road and they were really excited to be there. So going into this night though, I was a bit nervous, especially because now I've got all these comics and I've also put together a comedy show, including having Nate on it and other people over the years.
Yeah.
And it's just like this crazy idea where you got to drive an hour and a half, and it's a nightmare, and there's no one there.
Oh, yeah.
Are people going to show up?
Yeah, are people going to show up?
How
There's
are the
all this
comics
going on.
gonna do?
The dance already started because the dance is like the community thing where every night it's like you could be a kid and you want to go to the dance and you're making friends, or you're a teenager and you're also making friends. You're talking about what happened in sports that day. You're trying to dance, or you're an adult and the same thing, and you're like still trying to play sports.
Yeah.
And you're like icing your knee.
You're
like,
exhausted.
I haven't been athletic in 10 years. All of a sudden, I'm deciding to play full court basketball. And so all these things, like the dance is hard to compete against no matter what. They had to start the show in the Barty room at 10.
Yeah.
And
Which
I
is a late
find
start,
out that they're doing bingo, which I'm like, this is awesome. Bingo?
So
I can't
fun.
compete against bingo. Everyone can do that. Like, it's awesome.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I don't know who's going to be there. I'm like, look, and I have nothing to do with anything aside from, having friends and asking people to do the show.
You put together the show
whatever
and spread the word a little bit. Yeah.
I'm gonna host it and do time throughout and make it a show. But I don't know how many people are gonna be there. And I did like a little pre-chat, like explaining to you and the other comics before, like, look, this is the drill. This is what Little People America is. We're here. You don't need to make a big thing. You just do your act. You don't need to be like, so what is it like to be little? It's like, everyone's little. We know.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't need to be like a very, thought out thing. But as we're riding that crazy elevator up, and luckily we did find the elevator that took us to this floor
Yeah.
where this show was. We go up there, and it was like a really heartfelt thing to see like so many little people waiting like 40 minutes before the show. We're
Right.
like, oh wow, there's a lot of
They
people
were
there.
really, really
And
excited.
then we go into this room, and it ended up being, as you said, like overpacked.
Yep.
To where they actually it was
Standing room only.
not only
and-
just standing room only. I mean, it was like a straight up like fire code. How many people we
Yeah,
had
yeah,
in
yeah.
that room, and then they had to spill it over into the hallway.
Right.
And the hallway was filled up to the point where they had a rope. And I found out that like little people were texting to try to get in, and they actually weren't even allowing people into the hallway anymore.
Oh my
So it became
gosh.
like the event of a show and all those
Well,
things.
I think
and-
you're downplaying your gravitas in that community at that event. People were excited to see you.
No.
And no, I mean, I saw it because you had the best set of all of us. You crushed. They were excited. The material was great. You were about the conference. You were about and then just great material as well. And then you have a real gravitas around the whole event. Because we couldn't, I mean, I felt like we were walking around with Brad Pitt. Like we could, because you tried to get us from the comedy show
To the
dance. And you were stopped every 2 or 3, and you're very gracious and kind. And these are your friends, but also people who celebrate you because you've been going to this forever, and now you have this career, and you're acting. You're a success story in that community, and so they were there. They were there because you put it on.
That means a lot. It means a lot. I was glad that the show worked out. I think there is so much support in the community too for each other.
Yeah.
Like my friend Steve Hatch has a chocolate shop. So listeners, if you guys are ever in Salt Lake City, go to Hatch Family Chocolates. He is a little person that sells chocolate, so that should be the
Yeah.
reason. And then the chocolate is awesome. Him and his ex-wife that they still work together as in a great business relationship.
Yeah.
The best chocolate. So like, we support each other. There's a expo of like little people that have different businesses. So there is like a feeling of that, but it felt really good that one, I didn't bomb. You're always like the more
No, you
nerve
crushed.
side about
Yeah.
that you're just like, who cares about crushing? I just don't want it to go like
Oh.
complete south. And
Yeah.
then you're like, and then too that people are there, and those things happened. And
Yeah.
so it was.
They
it
were
was
great
really fun.
energy, and I kept telling everyone. I usually give myself like a little pep talk when I go on stage. I tell you like to be generous, be positive, be loose. Those are always the things that like go through my mind. And I didn't even have to tell myself because I went in and I was like, a lot of time you say like, thank you for having me here.
Yeah.
That was very genuine in
Yeah.
the sense you're like, this is awesome. Like getting to be anytime someone invites you into their world like that, you're like, this is an honor to be here. It's super fun. It was a great event,
We met a lot of people, and they're from all over the country, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have the photo too. We have a photo of us from the dance floor.
Yeah,
Maybe share it in the
Absolutely,
on the somewhere.
It was great. It was super
but
fun.
all the comics. Tanya Lee also had a great set. Brad always had a great set.
I mean, you had Mel at dance floor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we all went though because I was like, look, you guys were part of it too. So I was like, I want you to have the full experience to fully see it because it's like the lobby's one piece of it.
Yeah.
Sports are a piece. So right after this, you guys want to come, full complete it.
Yeah. Well, that was the funny thing is so Nick, I had this gig Sunday.
Yeah.
Today's Tuesday. And I was like, if you're still here Tuesday, Nick has gone home and come back down.
Yeah.
I was like, you don't have to do this just for the podcast. And you're like, no, I'm happy to do the podcast. I'm going back to the conference.
It is like a thing like that though, where it's very funny because you never want to leave. It is such a beautiful community.
Yeah.
And you're around like each other that I still have the same feeling now at 42 that I did when I was, 10.
Ugh.
And like that I did as a teenager, and through all these different feelings where like I was all about sports and I was all about trying to get like a girl.
Yeah.
And all these other things. And it's still that same kind of feeling where you just don't want to leave. You're like,
It's like a camp high.
it is
or
like
something.
a camp high, and then also like the other piece. And so I was like, hey, I'm gonna drive back down because I had to put the kids to bed because I'm going out again this weekend.
Sounds like it's not about the girl anymore, but still the sports.
Shout out to Teal.
Yeah.
My family.
All right, for the next 10, 15, let's do a couple questions that we got. These are from our fans here. So we asked folks here. So this first question is from Daniel. First, and you can talk a little about what motivated you to start the Easter Seals Disability Film Challenge?
So I've been very lucky in my career in that I've been in 40 TV shows and movies and, you know, a lot of different,
Amazing.
you know, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse,
Yeah.
So cool.
you know, Boardwalk Empire, all these different things, though, the vast majority of them came from me producing my own content. Wow. So by me, like, being, like, a short where I get to be, like, the crazy villain that gets, you know, shot because I ratted somebody out, you know, before I give a secret. So I knew that would be good for my demo reel, and that'd be good content for me because that's the best way that I could be showcased.
Right.
And that led to jobs. And I was like, look, more people with disabilities, because the disability community, which little people are a part of, is 1 in 4 of the population. So that's 70 million Americans have a disability or self-identify as having that. But we're not in enough film and TV shows. And my whole push, when, you know, I had this idea, now this is 13 years ago, was create a film competition where it could be my following what I did, which is making something in a very short period of time. Because if you try to make something like an hour, hey, I need you to volunteer for 8 days. No, that's not happening.
No.
One day, and it's a quick turnover, giving yourself a deadline, and that's how I was able to do stuff. So I created the Disability Film Challenge to motivate other people with disabilities to tell their stories and give them a platform where they could make a film in a short period of time that has to be completed, has to go on our site, and has to go live. So that no matter what, it's going to be searchable and something that they could use to get themselves out there. And so it's grown an insane amount over the years. I partnered with Easter Seals Southern California in 2017. It's the nation's largest disability services organization. So now 850 films have been created from around the world. We're sponsored by all the networks, the studios, and it's led to like countless success stories.
That's beautiful.
Oh my gosh.
Also, that's a beautiful, inspiring story. And anyone listening out there, Nick gave a little, he just said it in passing there, anyone trying to break it into really any industry, but showbiz, what you said is, I just started making things myself. And man, oh man, if that is not the case these days, like, I mean, when you, as a comedian, they're like, you went on Netflix? How many followers do you have? Like, you got to do this yourself anymore. And you're so smart that you, like, not only am I going to, instead of waiting around for roles that people gave me, I'm going to make roles that make me look great. And it's a real success story.
And I think, too, if you have a disability, you could also showcase yourself the way you want to be seen. And, you know, do it in a way where you don't have to make it about you being little or being in a wheelchair or having autism or something else. But I think that, you know, this is transferable whether you don't have a disability or you don't. Showcase yourself the way you want to be seen. And get as much experience as you can, too. Because the other side of it is the more you do, the better you get, you know, as an actor, as a comedian.
Makes sense.
All these things.
Well, I say that a little bit in comedy. Like, at first I thought I was trying to get everyone to like me, and now I'm not. I'm trying to get the people who like me to find me. Just be like, showcase who you are, and especially in comedy where it's all about your authenticity up there. So a couple comments here. He's on my Mount Rushmore of Nateland guests. Can't wait to see this episode. That's from Matt. Abby said, I loved Mick in Sopranos.
That's another. So Mick, I said, so for... I say the name Nick, but, you know, as a little person, a lot of times, like, people can't really hear me sometimes. And so randomly, all these people, like, just keep saying, is your name Mick?
Yeah.
And I think the way I say it, so I just start going with them. I'm like, yeah, Mick, you know?
Yeah. Mick's a great name. Great name, especially for a role like that.
Yeah.
Many people want to know if there's any updates on the van story. I don't know that there are, because that's people consider like one of the best moments of.
And that came from a Little People convention.
Yeah.
So that was a regional. So, you know,
Like,
check out. Maybe we could link to that story.
Yeah.
I have it on my. I'll show an Instagram post about it. But I basically crashed a minivan at a Little People convention and hit multiple
we
cars.
We could probably in the YouTube link do a little like click here to go watch this on his thing. So Here's a question for you. This is from Demarius. Are you in Breadwinner? If so, was filming with Nate and the band compared to a real movie set? He said real. That's funny. A real movie. Are you in Breadwinner?
No, I'm not in it. I'm not.
Follow-up question is Dustin in it? No.
Yeah. Way to make us both feel we're feeling it. No, I can't wait. I can't wait for it though.
You're probably like, awesome. Oh, Nate, it's nice that you're in a movie for once.
No, it's gonna be awesome.
This is a callback to an episode, or 2 episodes ago. We did a ranking, a challenge of top gas station snacks. What's your favorite gas station snack?
Ooh. It's actually, this came from being on the road with Nate during the whole COVID. We did a drive-in tour.
Right.
Stopping at these gas stations, living on a bus for months. I can't remember the name of it. It is a Chex Mix. I believe it is Ghirardelli or something.
Oh, Ghirardelli's?
That has these little kind of pumpernickel little things.
Did you recently discover Ghirardelli's like during COVID?
During COVID. I never had it before. I'm like, what is this new thing that's unbelievable? And I would eat these and I would end up at 4 a.m. in a Kentucky gas station where it'd be or a Buc-ee's in Texas, and I'm bringing out a garbage bag of these things that are gonna put 25 pounds on me. Little
That's so funny because to me, Ghirardelli is the most old-timey snack there is. I'm like, what do they eat this in the 1920s? Come around, kids, for some Ghirardellis.
Yeah.
They advertise this on radio shows, and you just recently discovered Ghirardellis. That's so funny.
Yeah, I mean, it's named after an entire square in San Francisco.
Not Gardettos. No, I mixed. No, Gardettos.
Gardettos.
That's so funny.
See, I couldn't get the name.
Ghirardelli's is the ice cream place.
Yeah, that is.
Ghirardelli's is the ice cream. Gardettos is the snack. Do you know Gardettos?
No, but Ghirardelli's the chocolate.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm messing up.
Square.
Ghirardelli Square is the chocolate company, but they serve ice cream, which is why my mind's going there.
I must have forgotten this.
Ghirardelli is the chocolate. Gardettos, it's such a funny mix-up. Yeah.
Got that onion, kind of rye bread,
and has been around.
Crunch.
Crunchy
snack.
It's
so good.
It's. I'm gonna do a. This is
I'm getting a bag today.
Yeah. Come around, children. Have some Gardettos with the family. Let's hear about the war.
Listen to the radio.
Exactly. That's fun. Fantastic. Okay. Somebody asked. Wait. Sorry. Did his teeth recover after brushing with cortisone?
You know what? I've been having a lot of dental problems lately. Odds are no. Yeah, I had something too where I saw something that I thought it was Colgate because my vision was bad. And it was cortisone.
Yeah.
Just a tube.
And I just put it on the tube and I start brushing it.
Absolutely rash-free teeth.
So yeah, definitely.
No rashes on those gums.
I literally went into the dentist recently.
Yeah.
And they go, they look great. We're just gonna do an X-ray. And I got a call back, and they're going, we're taking that tooth out. We're doing the old. I'm like,
They're like, how do your teeth feel? You're like, they don't itch.
Yeah, exactly. Not itchy.
Itch-free.
Here we go. 2 more questions, then we'll get out of here because I know it gets toasty in here.
I love no AC, by the way.
You really?
My wife and I are in a battle. She likes it cold all the time. I like it hot. So I'm feeling good.
No, good.
That's awesome.
Well, you did the right podcast during the right month. So
July.
We'll do 3 more questions then. What's the? Do you have any funniest, most memorable behind-the-scenes movie experiences? Maybe at things you funny for stories with actors, things you didn't expect. If not, it's okay. I know sometimes being put on the.
There's so many. Every set has a different element of it, but I would say a couple things on that. I sort of talked about how the Little People Convention can kind of form into a cliquey thing. So can movie sets and TV shows, where whatever scenes you're filming in off screen, that's who you eat lunch with.
Right.
And it becomes that kind of vibe. So for Boardwalk Empire, it was like you would have like the cops and they would all eat together.
Oh, okay.
And then like
That's
the
hilarious.
ward bosses and they would eat together. And I ran like the little people and we would eat together and everything. And we would just look around and like, look, everyone's all like segmented like
That's
criminals,
hilarious.
cops, this.
Yeah.
And we're all like in our own little, because we're working together and it kind of carried over.
It probably helps with staying in character, too.
Yeah, a
like
little
the
bit.
cops say, I can't be sitting with the criminals.
But I think you're bonding and a little bit of that, too,
Yeah.
where you are kind of, I think it is a team sport. A lot of times people think about it, and if you're doing it right, you are working together and you want everybody to succeed because the project will. So you are helping each other with lines and feeling that moment.
Yeah.
If
this wins, we win.
Exactly. And if and if you are great and I stink, the whole thing stinks, So it's like you have to have that.
We're in show business. We just want this to get made and stay on air.
Even like honestly, on a comedy show, everyone like if one person like walks the room, then there is no room. So I think you want to root for everybody.
I root for some people to bomb.
Well, you're also rooting for the audience.
Yeah.
That they would
They're having a good time.
Participate and
because it is about the audience.
give
That's the
you
nicest
energy.
thing to say.
Yeah.
You're right.
Enjoy themselves.
Another
It's about me, Melissa.
another
the
like
ego on these comics.
yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Exactly. Another fun behind the scenes. I did a bunch of like Christmas movies. So I was in the Santa Buddies trilogy. I've done like 4 Talking Dogs Christmas movies.
Oh my god.
That were a blast. They were so fun, great experience, and kids watch them all the time and still recognize them.
That's
They played
awesome.
forever. Every Christmas we're in different things. But the funny thing is, you're doing this Talking Dogs kids movie, and there were a bunch of other little people. This is going back, 15 years ago, more than that, I think, now, somewhere. And I remember we call cut, and there was a little person that used to be a jockey, too. And he's a big smoker. And so, we're all like his elves, and we call cut. And he's walking the parking lot, and he's got coffee, and he's smoking a cigarette, and he's still in the elf outfit. And I was like, it's just so great. He's just hanging out with Teamsters. He's like, hey, what? We got a 6-hour break. He's got a great raspy voice.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is just
That
great
rules.
moments like that because, look, this is what it is. We're all, we're in that moment, and we're all living our regular lives, and we're still sometimes having to call like, hey, what happened? My car, you're calling the mechanic, or, you're checking in on your kid or doing all these things, but you'll be in a ridiculous costume. And so it'll be, I could do a whole podcast on that.
I love that, yeah. Well,
Oh
we'll
my
have to have you
gosh.
back to talk about it then.
That's amazing.
Yeah. All right, let's do one last question. This is from Jesse. Nate famously pranked Nick over many years, and the prank was featured at the end of the Nate special, Greatest Average American. Has Nick ever been able to get revenge on Nate for all the years of abuse?
I'm not really like a revenge,
Well,
my mentality, I sort of just keep, I like to just kind of go, I've always kind of been called out as like a Switzerland a little bit.
Yeah.
I like to kind of stay in the middle, so I'm not like a full, but I don't know. I'm going to call, let's work together. Let me get Nate.
Yeah. Send us some ideas.
Send us some ideas
Well,
of
that's
things I
Jesse
can
who
do.
has a bunch of snakes in his sanctuary, his reptile sanctuary. That's that Jesse. So
Oh, God, don't kill him.
Jesse can be involved, yeah. Well, thanks for doing the pod, Nick. I appreciate
thank
it,
you so
yeah.
much. And thank you for doing the show. And
Yeah.
thank you
course,
for
yeah.
coming.
Thank you for
and-
having
Our
us.
pleasure.
Also, on my Instagram, at Nic Novicki, you could see a photo that was taken by Mel. So of us on
Yeah.
stage, of
Yeah.
all of us
We'll
together.
share that, and we'll share some clips from here. It'll
yeah.
be great. It'll be great. We'll embed it into the episode, too, so.
Thank you. And if anybody is in SoCal, the last Sunday of this month, I have my show at Flappers, Nic Novicki and Friends. So come on out.
Awesome.
Send me a message.
Beautiful.
Awesome.
Thanks for having us, Nick. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Bye.
Bye.
Hey, everybody, want to give a special thanks to our As Essential as Oils patrons. That's our $25 a month and up. Thanks so much for supporting the podcast. That is Adam Bush,
Avril Griffiths.
Allison Nelson,
Andy and Darlene Gurton.
Bonnie Galindo,
Brandon Schoenberger.
Carrie Teague,
Chris Finn.
Christopher and Bridget Finland,
Code to Grow.
Courtney Eibling,
Damaris Diaz Stevens.
Daniel Owens,
Dave and Melissa Cox.
Dave Hoagland.
Dustin Daly.
Jason and Francis White.
Jen Thirk.
Jonathan Rivera.
Jordan Cowan.
Juliana Smith.
Lori Amos.
Lauren and Nick Rachel.
Matt and Sam Slosdom.
Michelle Carlson.
Nick Cordell.
Norman Perron. Norman
Perron.
I'm sorry, Norman, you're the best. You're my favorite one.
Preston and Rachel Wilson.
Rachel Kennedy.
Raina Camps.
Robert and Nellie Capen.
Scott Elliott.
Stephen Menya.
And Tiffany Payne.
Thanks so much, everybody.
Thank you.